Facebook page. Okay. Hey, I'm Jen, and I'm here with my co-founder Meredith of Sparent, and this is a new series called Learning Lab, and we're going to take this opportunity to just share tidbits of business lessons we have learned on our entrepreneurial journey, and especially with delegating. And we wanted to share these with you leading up to our signature program, D-School, Delegation School, as a way to, whet your appetites for that program and also just share our experiences with you. And hopefully you can learn from our mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just going to use this opportunity to take the lessons we have learned, the stumbles we've had, share them. So hopefully you don't have to go through the same ones. Or if you do, maybe you come out of them faster.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead, Meredith.
We'll start with this week's topic, which is delegation is leadership. And why do we pick this title? I think this is this topic for our first one.
Well, I like this topic because I think delegating for the first time is an amazing experience, but it's often a one that is full of it, gives a business owner a lot of anxiety. And I think as business owners, it's really important to remember that we are leaders. And in order to grow and scale our company, it requires leadership. And in order to have a really successful delegation strategy, we have to develop our leadership skills and remember that our responsibility doesn't end when we hand something off to somebody.
Exactly. I think, and again, this is a mistake that we were sort of making in the beginning. Because Sparent is a virtual assistant agency, we talk a lot about delegation. Delegate it, fire yourself from your day-to-day business, get it off your plate. And even we sort of got into that very simplistic or surface level thought process about delegation. And the reality is that is a part of it, but there's a lot more to it, especially if you keep going and you're scaling, growing your business, and you're delegating more, maybe bigger projects, or to multiple people if you have a team. And then all of a sudden you've got sort of a different thing happening. Delegation, that's when delegation really becomes leadership, because you have layers to manage, I guess is the way I would look at it.
I don't mind that, because I think of a cake and I love cake. So your business is like a layer cake. Yeah. And it's absolutely true. When you delegate something for the first time, your leadership skills are going to come in the form of constructive feedback, follow up to make sure that you are there as a resource to the person you're delegating to make sure that your standard operating procedures are clear and they're operating from them without any problems. And if you don't have standard operating procedures, that's another topic, but then you're going to have to invest even more time in that process of them learning that task and taking it off your plate.
Exactly. And, delegation doesn't mean it's forgotten. It's not like a one and done, now it's gone and that's it. You're still the CEO of the company. You're still in charge. So there is an obligation for quality control, for checking in on the process. And, I firmly believe that if there is something goes wrong in a process that I've delegated, that it is mostly my fault, that I have done. I didn't check in. I didn't follow up. I didn't write clear enough SOPs. I did not understand the question I was being asked by the person I delegated to, like any number of things. But I immediately start from a place of like, okay, what did I do to set this up to not succeed? And I think that is really important. And sometimes it is just, the person I delegated to just makes a mistake. People make mistakes, and that's fine. But often, even beyond that, it's like, okay, it's because we need to add a second, another step to the SOP because I thought this was self-evident, or I thought this would be easy to remember, but it's not, and that's okay. Because really one of the goals is you want your SOP to be kind of mistake proof. You want whoever's using it to be able to follow it, and there's no room for mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mentioned feedback, and I'm going to mention it again because this was one of my business lessons that I've learned along the way. I was really uncomfortable providing critical feedback. When something wasn't done like I wanted it, I was very uncomfortable because I didn't want somebody's feelings to get hurt. I didn't want them to be mad at me. I didn't want them to quit working with me. So what I would end up doing is I would frame my constructive feedback in such a way that it was so positive that they didn't even know that they were getting constructive feedback. They thought I was just happy with their work because I was just hiding the criticism in a whole lot of smiley face emojis. So I have learned since then, a really simple, positive framework for delivering feedback, and we use it within Spirit. It's something we teach in D School because it is so effective, and I love a simple framework that is effective. So we love passing that on to other business owners who are building their teams, so they have that tool to use today, tomorrow, and as their team expands.
Exactly. And the other piece is that we've learned in this evolution is, you start delegating and it gets easier and easier. And next thing you know, you've got a team. And sometimes that team has to work together. Sometimes they work parallel and sometimes they work together. And I made the mistake recently of sort of throwing together a team and just asking them to work together without any leadership to it. I just said, whatever, everyone, you're doing your jobs and just do them together. And it wasn't a disaster, but it could have gone better. And that was my wake up call of like, right, I can't just shove stuff off my plate and that. So I had to go back, had to do a little coaching. I had to, be really clear on what our values were as a company. That's something we talk about a lot at Spirit. And, how could I use those values to help these individuals work better together? And again, a huge part of it was unclear operating procedures. One person thought this was the procedure and the other person thought the procedure was slightly different, and had been there longer and was getting very frustrated at the newer person who was doing it differently. And both were technically right. And that was on me. Things went really quick through the team together, So that's another thing that we also put into D School. That is one of the major focuses of one of the weeks is, what is your culture? How do you manage the people that you bring in? How do you use those values that you have to help your team do their jobs and grow your company and be happy and work together well? Because a lot of people, we hear this, Jen, where people will say, oh, I don't want to delegate. I don't want to become HR. I don't want to have to babysit a bunch of kids. And I get that. I feel that. I don't want to do it either. But certain things are unavoidable to some extent. But if you have a functioning team, you've set everyone up to succeed, you don't do nearly as much of that. You do more of that when you haven't set everyone up to succeed and you have problems and conflicts all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always disheartened when I hear a business owner say, "Oh, I don't want to manage people," because I think the mindset is a little toxic. Because if I ask that same business owner, "Do you want to grow your company and do you reach your revenue goals and work less and make more of an impact and more income for yourself?" Their answer is yes. And delegation is unavoidable, as an unavoidable path to get there. So I really like reframing that into, instead of I don't like to manage people, to I like building a viable, sustainable, profitable business that doesn't suck the life out of me.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's reasonable. That's a good goal.
That's reasonable. And that's why we developed D School. So we hope you will join us. D School is an intense program. I'm not going to lie. It demands a lot of your time, but in exchange for your time, we are giving you our infrastructure to grow and scale a sustainable business that aligns with your lifestyle and income goals, as well as your personal values. And I think that is so important to building a business you can be proud of. And so that's what we spend 5 weeks doing, is doing not just the knowledge, but we're also through master classes, but we're also doing the work in our study halls every week. So it's every Tuesday and Thursday in March. We will work with you and beside you to build that company, that legacy business that you have every ability to build.
Exactly. So we will be back next week with another learning lab. We'll talk more about things we learned that we put into D School and other programs that we do, so that you can learn from our mistakes and grow even faster and better than Spirit has. All right.
I love it. See you next week. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. We're happy to answer.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.